Had a conversation with a couple today, um, and I thought it was worth hitting record on because I think they're in a situation that a lot of people are in. Um, a little bit of background: these are people who are doing great. They own a business, a successful business. They've got about $2.5 million put away for retirement. They're quasi retired now. They're 70 and 69 years old. Um, but in our conversation, it revealed a lot of concerns that they have, and a lot of things that just aren't being looked after. So let me lay the groundwork for you a little bit here. First of all, um, the things that they're concerned about. They're concerned about the fact that they're paying a ton for Medicare. They're in the fourth Medicare bracket, which means just their basic Medicare costs are over $1,000 a month between the two of them. They really have no clue why they're invested the way they're invested. They just know that they've had someone investing that money for them for a long time, and this won't be a knock on that person. They're deathly afraid. Actually, one of the biggest fears they have is of RMDs when those are coming. Um, so they're the big picture that they're looking at here is that they feel like they've got a lot of stuff. And let me start by saying this: they're going to be fine. They are fine. They are in a position where if they don't do anything different, they're still going to be okay. But they don't feel like that because they don't know what's actually going on in their plan. So I just want to give you a couple quick things that I noticed when I was talking with them, and upon some further digging. They're in that fourth Medicare bracket. So let's start there. What they didn't realize is they're only $26,000 into that Medicare bracket. Now, that's not a lot to be into that particular bracket, especially considering that they've got a lot of control over their income from the business. They've got control over some distributions that the spouse is taking from IRAs. And what's more is they've got a whole bunch of money in non-retirement accounts. So they've got a really good mix of IRAs, pre-tax, brokerage, so non-retirement account, taxable accounts, and Roth accounts. And one thing that we noticed was that just last year on their tax return, they showed that they had, just from one account, they had over $30,000 of taxable interest just from that one account. And upon looking into it further, we found out that their taxable accounts, the ones that have no tax deferral, hold a bunch of bonds and some CDs in a couple of them, but things that are producing taxable interest every year. And then we looked at, so just to take a step back there, that one thing, that $30,000 of taxable interest, that's responsible for about $3,000 of extra Medicare premiums every year for them. Okay? So this is something that they've just never been made aware of. The other thing that makes it difficult is they've got accounts all over the place. They're all in the same firm, but they have so many duplicate accounts. They have multiple IRAs for each of them. They have multiple joint brokerage accounts. And when I asked about this, I was like, why do you have so many of these? And why do you have so many different ones? And they said, I don't know. We don't know the answer to that. So going back to RMDs, another thing that we noticed, and upon reviewing tax return, you can tell a lot from a tax return. I'm not a CPA. This is not meant as tax advice. It's not even meant as financial advice. You need to consult a professional when you're looking at these things before you make decisions that affect your life. Just have to throw that out there. But upon looking at it, because of that mix of assets they've got, their RMDs aren't going to be that bad. In fact, their RMDs that start in about a year and a half are going to be less than their annual charitable giving. So when you start to look at people who are charitably inclined and you start to look at the RMDs that they're going to have to take, it's a really good place for things called qualified charitable distributions, where they can have those RMDs go directly to the organizations that they give to without it ever hitting their tax return. Because his biggest concern is that those RMDs are going to turn on and I'm just going to get killed in taxes, which is a logical concern. So what we found, I mean, we haven't landed the space shuttle on this thing yet, but just a couple little moves in a plan, just having I think it nails the importance of realizing that retirement planning isn't just about investments. Retirement planning is about a strategy and having a plan. Investments play a role, but that's not the whole thing. If it was just about investments, they wouldn't feel any of these concerns that they feel. They would feel secure, even with $2.5 million in the bank. So had they just been taught that it's not only what investments you hold, it's which types of accounts you hold them in. If all those bonds and income producing things had been in potentially a tax deferred account or a Roth, they wouldn't even have been exceeded that IRMA threshold for their Medicare premiums. Small things, small tweaks in a plan can make a huge difference. So if you feel like them, if you're someone who you feel like you should be super secure because you got plenty of money, doesn't matter if it's $2.5 million or $10 million or 500,000, that's different for every person. But if you feel like you should be in a good spot, but your emotions and your mind is telling you that, gosh, I just don't know, don't sit with that. Just reach out to somebody, talk to a professional. And I think once you talk to a professional who understands planning, not just investments, you'll find that in pretty short order, without major changes to your life, you can find some pretty big improvements. I hope you have a great day.